This led to him having a Cornish accent, the building blocks of the character.
I ain't got a brand new combine harvester, and I'll give you the key.
Please, I'm begging you. Rings of Power have showcased a new character for Season 2, from the same people that called their fans patently evil.
Who'd have thought a ring could have so much power?
You should name a show after it.
And that think the best way to market Season 2 is that it has an all-female directing team.
I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
They're definitely the people to solve the mess of the first one.
People are going to fall in love with him and be like, I can change him.
I feel like there's going to be a bit of romance. And it's like, you can't be with him.
Wow.
Why not? He's my ex.
Lord of the Rings, basically the embodiment of masculine values. Let's get the women to make it. Stand back, lads.
Yes, do get it done.
And of course, all of this is to make up for how they marketed their first season.
First ever female dwarf to ever truly be seen cinematically.
If you don't like a show, don't watch it.
So now that season's over, let's come out and say it. The Rings of Power was a stinker. We have a new addition to the cast for Season 2. One from an official source rather than a leak of our first images of Tom Bombadil. I figure I should tell you his name because it's not as if you're going to recognize him otherwise. Although really, what else should I expect? From the people that turned hobbits into filthy, hungry simpletons with stage Irish accents, who left their own people to die if they had a sprained ankle. And of course, the first thing people did is compare how he looked to the books. As J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay said, it's all about the books for us. Our slogan is back to the books, back to the books, back to the books. Well, old Tom Bombadil was a merry fellow. I mean, I don't know about merry, that's the face of somebody that lives in Slough. Oh, but he can't be happy all the time. Maybe not. No. He could in your promotional images though, couldn't he? These are the images which you specifically selected in order to showcase the character. Could have chose a scene where he was having a smile. And for anyone that says that comment is bigoted, is it when it applies to a bloke? I'd love to know.
It's not acceptable behavior. It is embarrassing.
Because I definitely think he should smile more. But it's not just one picture, it's all of them. He just looks miserable in everything. But then we've got a bright blue jacket. Well, I'm colorblind. I don't even know if that's blue. Definitely not bright though. Yellow boots, so that's a no. Green was his girdle and breeches of leather. Notice how none of the descriptions describe him as looks like a homeless vagabond. The kind of person that looks like he's got an alcohol problem on a street corner and stinks vaguely of piss. Carries a stick around him at all times because it's the only way he can fend off the rats trying to eat his eyeballs. None of that was in the description, was it? He also had a hat with a feather in it. No, we're not gonna lie either, do we? Rings of Power. So he wears a hat? Yes, we've nailed that one. Oh, we've made him look like Gandalf. And that is one of the problems with modern fantasy as a whole, is that this look is fantasy. When you look at this scene, and then you look at Rings of Power, is there any difference at all? Because these are made by the same company, and it's basically people just wearing raggy bits of cloth. These people, and this guy, could be in the same universe. Back to the books, back to the books, back to the books. Okay, but have you tried reading them at any point? Because all these properties were written with different descriptions. They were designed to have their own unique looks, and we just haven't given them to them. Even The Outpost, which I think was made for 20 quid and a packet of British cigarettes. Yes, I had to censor that the first time I said it. Looks different and decided to have someone attractive as their main character, which is a refreshing change.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to have sex with my brother.
Cut. Thank you.
And all of this combined presents a bizarre picture, and I don't know why you'd do it. As the article starts, for anyone who hasn't read the novels, you won't know who this guy is, because he was left out of the animated series and the movie trilogy. I think for good reason. But if you're putting him into Season 2 to throw a bone to the people that like the books, look, he was excluded from those, but we're going to give you something. We're going to prove that we're going back to the source material by putting him in this one. Isn't it even more important that he looks like the book descriptions, considering they're the only person who knows who he is? We've put this guy in for the fans, so we can piss them off. Seems to be the message. It just comes across as deliberately antagonistic. A bit like this article. This series will break the tradition of exclusion. Proves why inclusion is a terrible idea. He was excluded for a reason. It's because he would be very difficult to do on screen properly. If you mess him up in any way, shape or form, he will come across as cringe. And I hate using the word cringe, but I don't know any other way to put it. Do you think that the people that turned hobbits into filthy, hungry simpletons and can't even get him to smile or his clothes correct will manage to do him properly? It really seems like they just wanted to get a stand-in for Gandalf and like, well, we've got this guy that was never used in anything else. We could have him standing in for Gandalf. He was known for his jolly songs and flamboyant wardrobe. Flamboyant wardrobe. I tell you, this guy's wardrobe is so flamboyant it'd make Cutie Gatwa go dizzy and have to steady himself on the couch. And he was described by Tolkien as the spirit of the vanishing Oxford and Berkshire countryside. The author bristled at the notion that he wrote in allegory, but it's clear he saw Bombadil as nay nature personified. See what I mean about being antagonistic? That was a passive-aggressive dig. Oh, he bristled at allegory, but he writes them. It's not Tolkien's fault that you're too thick to understand what he meant. When he bristled at allegory, he meant that the things in his books weren't related to real life. As in Sauron wasn't an allegory for a real-life person, or the orcs weren't meant to be a particular group. That doesn't mean he wasn't inspired by the world around him, you cretins. That left J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay to figure out exactly how he might turn up in their show. And why. Yeah, but not why. How can we cram him into the show, and what might his reasons for being in the show be? But not, should he be in the show in the first place? Why should he be in the show in the first place? What could he possibly bring to the show? Peter Jackson explained that he never put them in the movies because his contribution to the Fellowship of the Ring bore little relevance to the overall plot and did nothing to advance the main story. He was like, we've already got enough to cover, we don't have to put him in, we're going to keep everything tight, compact, and to the point. That's not the attitude they're taking with Rings of Power, where it's more like Pokemon, we've got to catch them all. What, there's hobbits in Lord of the Rings? Well, we've got our Harfoots. What, there's Gandalf in Lord of the Rings? Well, we've got this mysterious figure. We got the dwarfs and we got the elves. Well, he didn't put Tom Bombadil. We'll put him in as well. They're never asking, does this serve the story? Should he actually be in it? No. It's a case of he exists, we have the rights to it, so we have to work out how we can force him into the show. How can we put him in? Not ought we put him in. There's a reason why he hasn't been in prior adaptations. It's because he's an anti-dramatic character. It's not the reason that was actually given for why he's not in. He's not a character with a particularly strong agenda. He observes drama, but doesn't really participate in it. He doesn't advance the plot, because he clearly does actually engage in the drama, as you literally write in your next paragraph. Sings a song that soothes the trees which are eating them at the time, and then he rescues them again. So without his interference, they all would have died, never carried the ring to Mordor, and it would be a very different story with Sauron winning. So he was actually integral to the events playing out, and did change the course of history. It's just that if you remove those events in him, it doesn't really change the emotional beats of the story, and so if you're trying to cram a story into a shorter space of time, it is something which is very easily removable.
What is it you like?
Nuts.
It's not that he doesn't get involved, or that he's anti-dramatic. It's just that if you've got so much content to cover, he's very easy to ignore. Almost as if you were covering an entire age, only had a few seasons to do it, and we're trying to cram it into as few episodes as possible. Bit like Rings of Power, really. And I just love how you're crapping on him at first. You go, well, you know, he's always been excluded before because he doesn't really bring anything, but we decided to add him. Great. Challenging to integrate dramatically. Why'd you have to integrate him dramatically? All a story is a load of characters acting as that person would, put into a scenario, and you see how it plays out. You don't start from the end and work backwards. You don't have something you want to reach and go, whoa, how can we get these people with their agendas to get there? Nor should you be trying to crowbar in characters going, well, you know, he's very challenging to put in this story, but we tried to force him in. Tolkien himself was hazy on the character's purpose. I remember those lines.
The opportunity to interpret and reinterpret it.
And words mean something different, rediscovering things.
We're creating something new.
You have an opportunity to fill in the gaps and to make your own decisions. There's room. There's room.
The mystery and passivity of the character made him all more intriguing to the showrunners. Yes, because Tolkien refused to explain him, and so they're like, ooh, the mystery. That leaves room. There's room. We can insert ourselves in that. We can get some of that reflected glory and force ourselves into that position like the Timeless Child. Turning him into a narrative riddle to solve. He was mysterious, but we couldn't leave him that way. Sounds like we're going to get an explanation for him, something that even Tolkien didn't want to do. He represents something I feel is important, though I would not be prepared to analyze the feeling precisely. And they're like, we can do that for you, don't worry.
Just do get it done.
He has no clear dramatic function that would justify his inclusion in a great movie adaptation. He's the first thing you would cut if you were adapting a film, but we have the advantage of a television show, so we're going to find a way to tap into it. We will force him in. We will get a crowbar and just start kicking him through the door. Doesn't matter if he won't fit. We'll make him fit. We will find a way. And it's interesting their next paragraph, which is an explanation from Tolkien of basically the masculine morality of Lord of the Rings, in that there is good and evil, beauty and ugliness, tyranny against kingship, moderated freedom against compulsion. Basically, traditional English values.
What I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil.
But he says, to Bombadil, the question of rights and wrongs of power and control become meaningless. Because you're so old and powerful, you're kind of external to it. You don't care about any of those kind of things. And that is something that modern fantasy loves. Because it's left the masculine values of right, wrong, and justice. And now, we're about a grey zone, a mysterious zone. things aren't your fault, those villains, they're sympathetic, you know. And that means they may well turn Bombadil into basically the neutral grey zone. Rather than somebody that doesn't care about any of these things, they started thinking about, well, what does he care about? How can that be a doorway to drama? We know he's a helper. He's not going to push you, but he will help you. Are we going to end up in a situation where he cares about something else and that causes him to start helping both sides? Ooh, that moral grey that they all love playing with, desperately trying to excuse evil.
You're pure evil.
And you're just another man taking credit for a woman's work.
As let's face it, they've already proven that they have no idea what evil actually is. For the series, the showrunners took the liberty, it's a great turn of phrase, isn't it? In the series, Payne and McKay took liberties of giving him a second home. Back to the books, back to the books, back to the books. He's gone to Rune. It used to be green and is now a dead wasteland. I told you. He's got the expression of somebody that lives in Slough. Another dead wasteland.
5 square miles, the whole of London town, burnt as fuel.
It's this location where he'll meet up with the halflings. Wait, we're calling them halflings now? They were half-foots in the first series. Are you telling me you released an entire PR puff piece where they're getting the characters wrong? Whereas they also have a wizard known as a stranger. At the end of the first season, the stranger gave off some major Gandalf signifiers. Is that confirmation that that's Gandalf, considering this is actually in a PR marketing piece? That's probably the best confirmation you can have that that's who he is. It just depends if they have the rights to him as to whether they can actually say his name, rather than just give hints in PR marketing pieces. But then when he meets the stranger, he nudges the stranger to get him to protect the natural world he cares about. Our Tom Bombadil is slightly more interventionist than you see in the books. We're only 5 or 10%. Tolkien literally said that he didn't care about anything, which means that him saving the hobbits wasn't actually about them taking the ring somewhere. It's just that he happened to be there, so he saved them. And yet in this, they seem to be taking the angle that, oh, well, he can predict everything, and he's actually moving these pieces, that he does actually have an end goal in mind. They did say earlier that he's challenging to integrate dramatically because he doesn't have an agenda, so their way of crowbarring him into the story is just to give him an agenda. Oh, well, he's there to protect nature. This is what I mean about creating a story by just getting characters, putting them into a situation, and then having them play out as they naturally would, compared to starting at the end and desperately trying to work backwards. They couldn't take him as a character, put him in the situation, and then have him act how he should. They had to change his behavior so that they could get him to do what they needed to happen, which is why to them, every character needs an agenda. They can't just be people going around surviving in a world. No, they all have to have some kind of end goal in mind, because that way it's easier to write. We'll also explain why all their characters are so one-dimensional. It's because they are. They only want one thing, and so that's what they do all the time. Most actors who take on a well-known character claim to be experts in that character. In his first interview playing Bombadil, he admits he isn't. I remember all those videos they made about the first series, where they said that as they cast the actors, they had to look at them and see Lord of the Rings in their eyes. Well, we've dropped all that now, and I have no idea, mate. Dunno. He was a Lord of the Rings novice before signing on to the Rings of Power. I have a feeling he's not the only one of the cast, despite previous comments.
I love movies. I love making them. And I am a fan of movies.
Even in their own article, they've got Jackson explaining why he left the character out. And he's talking about Tom Bombadil to see a feathered cap come darting through the trees. Feathered cap. Feathered cap. Feathered cap. Even put his description into your own article and get it wrong. In addition to his prominent role of Rings of Power, they're also making an Adventure of Tom Bombadil book that goes alongside it. So now we're basically advertising Rings of Power merch. Look, we may have destroyed him in the series, but here's some actual source material for you. His pure and unaffected joy in living things of the world. Yeah, just look at that joy on his face. I mean, his smile just brings a tear to your eye. Perhaps Tolkien intended Tom to remain forever a light in the darkness of troubled times. But ultimately, he must remain a delightful enigma. Delightful. A light in the darkness. A filthy hobo who's been dragged through a field backwards. I was really interested to see how they were going to process the character through the prism of their eyes. Not Tolkien's. We're going to make the character how he was in the books. No, we're going to interpret him through our eyes, because we're the talented ones.
You have an opportunity to fill in the gaps and to make your own decisions. There's room. There's room.
You even include the description of him from the books in the article, which directly contradicts how you've made him look. There are some things where you're like, okay, maybe they're going to rely on ignorance, and like, well, this is a character no one really knows, so we can change his appearance, it'll be fine. Like, let's educate them on how wrong we are. Great yellow boots on thick legs. I mean, he looks thick, but that's about the only descriptive word you're going to give him. The big thing was, how's he going to talk? There were lots of different dialects and accents going throughout the show, but I wanted to choose an accent that felt old, that was British, but like the oldish parts of Britain. This led to him having a Cornish accent, the building blocks of the character.
I ain't got a brand new combine harvester, and I'll give you the key.
Please, please, I'm begging you, please. But then we get some warnings about what to avoid.
But I want to avoid sounding like a pirate.
Oh, we don't want OR Jim lad.
I guarantee you that's why OR. This could end up going very wrong. I've got a brand new combine harvester.
And will you marry me?
Cold as a quilkin.
Cold as a quilkin.
Oh, he's got to talk like this, he is.
Which is Cornish for a frog.
Oh, I'm Tom Bombadil. I'm from Cornwall, I am. Oh, please, do it. I dare you.
You're covered in mud and muck.
Oh, we've been for a good old stank.
Oh, good old shag we are. Good old shag. I've been off up the top of the tree, I have. Please. This is amazing. Those were the building blocks of the character. Oh, God, this is going to be great. I'll take everything back. You've won me over. Tom Bombadil had a dialect coach so we could put a Cornish accent together.
I wore brand new gaiters and me cordy right pants.
This is going to be gold. We've got Adar, we've got Sauron, but Tom is a sort of curiosity who's singing songs and saying lines with nursery rhymes of children's poems. He defies that tonal shift. He's a light amongst a sea of darkness. I mean, hey, he really looks like a light in the darkness, doesn't he? A laugh a minute. The life and soul of a party. What a cheery fellow with his combine harvester.
The thing I want the most is all they acres of land.
With his combine harvester, he does. Tom Bombadil brings levity. That's just through his accent. The enigma about Tom Bombadil is his accent, simply to accept Tolkien as the Lord of the Rings he is. Look, at the start of this article, I was worried. I was worried that they were going to destroy him as a character, and they probably will. I was worried that he wouldn't fit into the story, and so they were just going to try and crowbar him in anyway. They probably will. But when they call him a light in the darkness, when they say he's going to be singing songs in a West Country accent, I think they're bang on. Because while he may not be a light in the darkness for the story, if he speaks like he's from Cornwall, I'm gonna wet myself. So hey, even if the story isn't entertaining, I'm gonna get my money's worth from it, from that alone. So you've won me over, Amazon. I am really looking forward to seeing Tom Bombadil sing about his combine harvester. But what do you think Amazon's gonna do with Tom Bombadil? Because those are just my thoughts, but what are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe, more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.